The Kethvar were apex predators of the Andromeda sector, their razor-sharp claws capable of rending steel, their night vision piercing the darkest voids of space. They ruled through fear and strength as their ancestors had for millennia. So, when warlord Zexthul first encountered the humans, he expected another species to cower before his might. Instead, the humans had smiled. That smile haunted him still. 3 cycles later, as he watched his 2 cubs, Rix and Vex, prepare for what the humans called summer camp. The term itself was puzzling. Humans seemed to have names for everything, especially things that made no tactical sense. "You understand the arrangement," Commander Sarah Chen said, her voice carrying that peculiar human mixture of warmth and underlying steel. 6 months of training. Your cubs will learn alongside human children of similar developmental stages. Zexthul's mandibles clicked nervously. "They are warriors born. They need to learn to kill efficiently." Sarah's smile widened, that same unnerving expression that had confused him during their first meeting. "Oh, they'll learn efficiency all right, just not the kind you're expecting." The human facility looked nothing like a proper training ground. Instead of combat arenas and weapon caches, there were strange, colorful structures the humans called playgrounds. Instead of drill instructors barking orders, there were adults who spoke softly and seemed to genuinely care about the young ones. Well-being Rix, the larger of the 2 cubs, immediately bristled at the environment. "This is not warrior training," he growled to his sister. Vex, always the more observant one, noticed something different. The human children moved with purpose, but it wasn't the rigid discipline they knew. It was something else entirely. The first lesson came during what the humans called team sports. The cubs watched in confusion as human children divided into groups not by strength or dominance, but by fairness. When one team began to win too decisively, they voluntarily redistributed their strongest players. Why do they weaken themselves? Rix asked their assigned counselor, a young human named Marcus. Marcus, barely out of his teens, crouched down to the cubs' eye level. "Because winning isn't everything. Sometimes making sure everyone gets to play and improve is more important than crushing your opponents." The concept was alien. In Kethvar society, you dominated or you were dominated. There was no middle ground. But as the days turned to weeks, something strange began to happen. During a Capture the Flag exercise, Vex noticed that the human cubs would often stop to help fallen teammates, even when it cost them strategic advantage. More puzzling still, they helped members of the opposing team when they were injured. "It makes no sense," Rix complained to his sister one evening. "They could have won easily, but they chose to lose time helping their enemies." Vex was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe they have a different definition of winning." The turning point came during the 4th month. A younger human child named Emma had been struggling with the climbing exercises. She was small, even by human standards, and clearly frustrated by her repeated failures. The other children could have ignored her, focusing on their own progress. Instead, they organized themselves into a support system. Rix watched in fascination as the human cubs took turns offering encouragement, sharing techniques, and even physically supporting Emma during her attempts. When she finally succeeded in reaching the top of the climbing wall, the cheer that erupted from the group was genuine and thunderous. "She was the weakest," Rix muttered, confused. "Why do they celebrate her success above their own?" Marcus overheard and sat beside the young Kethvar. "Because her success is their success. We're stronger together than we are apart. Emma's victory today means our whole group is better tomorrow." That night, Vex found her brother staring out at the human city beyond the camp walls. "What are you thinking about?" "I've been watching them," Rick said slowly. "The adult humans, the way they interact with each other, with us, with their own young. They're not weak, Vex. They're something else entirely." The final month brought the ultimate test. A genuine emergency arose when a structural failure trapped several children in a collapsed section of an old building during a field trip. The human adults immediately organized a rescue operation, but what struck the HFY cubs was how the human children responded. Instead of panicking or fleeing, they formed organized groups. Some administered first aid to the injured. Others gathered supplies and coordinated communication. The older children took responsibility for the younger ones, ensuring no one was left behind or forgotten. Rix and Vex found themselves naturally falling into the human pattern, using their superior strength and night vision to help locate trapped children, their claws carefully controlled to avoid injury while clearing debris. When Warlord Zexthul arrived to collect his cubs, he barely recognized them. They stood differently, not with the rigid posture of HFY dominance, but with the relaxed confidence he'd noticed in human warriors. They spoke differently, too, asking about others before asserting their own needs. "Report," he commanded in the traditional manner. "Father," Vex began, using a term of respect rather than the formal title of rank, "we have learned much about warfare." "Good. What weapons have you mastered?" Rix exchanged a glance with his sister. "We have learned that the greatest weapon is not one that destroys enemies, but one that creates allies." Zexthul's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "The humans taught us that strength without compassion is brittle," Vex continued. "That a leader who rules through fear commands only the body, but a leader who inspires loyalty commands the heart and mind. They showed us that protecting the weak doesn't make you weak. It makes you worthy of protection in return," Rix added, "and that sometimes the greatest victory is helping your enemy become your friend." Commander Chen appeared beside them, that familiar smile playing at her lips. "Your cubs are remarkable, Warlord. They've not only learned our ways, they've improved upon them. They've taught our children things about courage and determination that we couldn't have taught ourselves." Zexthul looked at his cubs, no, his young adults, and realized that while they had indeed become unrecognizable, they had become something far greater than mere predators. They had become leaders. As they departed the human facility, Vex turned, back to wave at their human friends. "Father, may we request that some of our packmates be sent here as well?" For the first time in his life, Warlord Zexthul found himself genuinely smiling, an expression he'd learned perhaps from watching. "Humans, yes," he said. "I believe that would be beneficial for all involved." The greatest predators, he realized, were not those who consumed others, but those who helped others grow stronger. And in that revelation, the HFY discovered their own evolution had only just begun.